How's it going, everybody? It's me, the Runescape historian here, and today we're going to talk about something that was external and separate from Runescape to a certain extent. As you guys have already gathered from the title, yes, we will be talking about Funorb today. Funorb was released February 27th of 2008, over 13 years ago, which, looking back at it, it's hard to believe it's been that long. Like, I look back at it and I'm like, damn, I'm old. I'm not really that old, I'm 27, but in digital years, that might as well be like dog years. I'm over 100. Like, I feel pretty damn old looking back at some of the stuff that was on the internet. Anyway, Funorb was Jagex's first successful venture outside of RuneScape, RuneScape Classic, RuneScape 2. I just grouped those in as RuneScape because that's what they are. This was the first successful venture outside of that. And I say successful because Funorb didn't close till 2018, around August of 2018 to be exact, so Funorb lasted well over 10 years when compared to other things in the game industry and even Jagex's own side projects after Funorb. 10 years is a very long time in the game industry. While Funorb was at its peak, it had a few thousand non-concurrent players, with the large majority of those players going into Arcanists and some also going into Armies of Gielinor, which were rated number 1 and number 2 respectively on the homepage at almost all times. Other games fell behind these two because it counted between 1 and 10, with Arcanists taking up number 1, AOG or Armies of Gielinor taking up number 2, and then the next 8 were kind of a random, mishmash of just whatever people were playing at the time. Those usually changed. Over the years, many new games would be added, but none would compare to the popularity of Armies of Gielinor, and especially none would compare to the popularity of Arcanists. The website itself was very simplistic in nature, and throughout all 10 years of its existence would barely see any changes. When a new game was added, the homepage would be updated and a few minor tweaks and graphical changes might happen to the website. But for the most part, over the 10 years of its lifespan, you would barely see any changes. Eventually, a banner was added at the top that would constantly change, and it would announce if someone placed very high in a game based on their score, and also would announce if players completed certain achievements. While we're on the topic of the website was funded through AdSpace, which allowed Jagex to pay for server costs and the cost of any employees maintaining the website or updating the website. The website was also kept up through membership offers. Members could pay $3 a month and gain access to full-screen games, multiplayer games, customization options in Arcanists, new spells in Arcanists, as well as new units in Armies of Gielinor, and much more. This would later see a rise up to $4.95 per month, but overall it was seen as a very good value for your money based on what you got in return. So ultimately, guys, why did this website fail? Well, let me give you my take on it. There are answers online from Jagex themselves, but you can also kind of draw conclusions based on evidence that you can find still available. So first and foremost, the amount of servers. I'm going to use Arcanists as an example because that was their number 1 game, as we've already seen. So the server amount used to, there would be 5 or 6 servers with, a few hundred players on some, and then maybe 1,000 on one. Well, now it's knocked down to 2, and you can see right here, it's from 2018, shortly before it was closed. So, it might have some hype. Oh, it's about to close, get your chance to play it, you know what I mean. But now you can see that servers are knocked down to 2. You can see right here, there's only 11 out of 1,000 players in multiplayer games. And if this was the number 1 game, you can kind of draw conclusions on what the amount of players would be on the other games. You might have a few hundred players on Funorb at this time, if you were lucky. Alright guys, I just picked a random date from 2017, the back end of it, and there's 12 players in game, 12 out of 1,000 right here. Granted, you do have other games, but this was the number 1 game across the board at any given time on Funorb. So you can draw conclusions and say maybe there's 100 players on all of Funorb right now. And you have to also think, 100 of those players, most of those might not be members, so they're not bringing in hardly any revenue. They might be bringing in revenue from the ad space, but it's nothing compared to what it was in Funorb's heyday. So I think this was a big part of it as well. The reason Jagex gave as to why Funorb closed was that the technology was just lagging behind. It was getting to be a pain in the butt to maintain the website and upkeep it with changing technologies. which ultimately was probably the case, but you gotta think the dwindling player numbers didn't help matters either, because you would be a lot more motivated to work through potential kinks if the website was bringing in thousands of dollars in profit every month. You wouldn't be so eager to do that if it was barely bringing in anything or was giving you a net loss in profits. What I'm about to say next you can kind of take with a grain of salt, but I believe it translates pretty well even though I'm kind of a dumbass at times. You can ask yourself, when was the last time I used X product that has gone out of business or has closed since then? So when was the last time you guys used Funorb before it closed in 2018? For me, it would have to be around 2009 to 2010. So in my case, that was roughly a 9-year gap from when I last played to when they closed. This means there was a 9-year gap where they were not getting any sort of ad revenue bump from my visit to the page. They were also not getting a membership fee from me, and I believe this translates to hundreds of other people that played Funorb or have great memories of Funorb. Their exact wording on the closing was, advancements in software and hardware have made it increasingly difficult to access and play the games on the portal, and that's ultimately led to our decision. This statement and the announcement of Funorb closing was made on May 9th, 2018, and they ultimately said it would be fully closed down on August 7th of the same year. As a gesture of goodwill in order to give it a proper send-off, Jagex offered 3 months of free membership on Funorb as a way to say goodbye to the website. Players were still able to play through August 7th, depending on the game they were playing, as the games would close one at a time. Slowly, each game was shut down until all of them were shut down, and then the website as a whole was sadly shut down. Many players will look back on Funorb fondly for memories they had in Armies of Gielinor or Arcanists or the various other games. They look back on those times mainly because they were simpler times. Before I head out, I'm going to give a quick shout out to my Discord. I will be including it in the pinned comment below as well as the description. That's where I got the idea for this video. It's also been suggested by some of you guys in the comments before too, so kind of a bit of both. Also, for those of you who are interested in playing Arcanists back in its original state, there is a side project. It's like a reboot of Arcanists. I'll be including that in the description as well. It's not an official Jagex project, nor am I sponsored by them. I'm not associated with them in really any way, but they seem like a pretty solid group that just want to bring back the nostalgia of Arcanists. But yeah, I'll be including a link to their official Reddit page. Not official Reddit page, their Reddit post and their official website. Got that kind of mixed up. And yeah, they seem pretty legitimate. They got the unofficial nod from Jagex, but keep in mind they are not related to Jagex in any way, so proceed with a little bit of caution. But yeah, guys, I'm heading out. Later.